Are you ready to go offside? Because it's time for Offside Hockey Talk with your host, James Roberts, and myself, Doug Ireland.
All right, we are here with the hottest commodity in junior hockey. It is none other than Kyle Outridge. Kyle, it has been a while since we've had you on. How are you, my friend?
Well, first off, thank you for having me back, boys. I've been busy. Let me tell you, off-season has not been an off-season for me. Ramping up here with the Collingwood Colts, but everything's going well.
It's good to hear. We will get to the Collingwood Colts and everything else you have your fingers on. But I have to ask you guys, both being junior hockey guys, and it was just in my backyard, what did you guys think of the 2019 Memorial Cup here in Halifax?
Personally, I was a big fan. I watched every game, not just the Guelph games. It was nice to really take in the QMJHL teams and the Huskies and Halifax. To see at least prospect and Prince Albert do a little bit better, but overall, I mean, Halifax, they came out every night and supported the whole tournament. It was a really good turnout, and it was definitely fun to watch.
Doug, what were your overall thoughts?
I mean, I gotta say it. The fact that the Memorial Cup was in Halifax and then Halifax stepped up, that's what you want to see happen when you know that that it's going to be taking place in your hometown like that. So that was great to see. The other nice thing is that when you're looking at guys that age, effort isn't a question like it is sometimes in the professional leagues. It was every guy 100% effort every single shift. You can see why Don Cherry says that that's some of the most exciting hockey there is, because it absolutely is. You just don't see that other than at these low levels. I feel like that's part of what makes the OJHL so great, is on any given night, even on teams that are possibly way out of the playoffs, you're going to have guys that are absolutely killing themselves trying to get the scouts to notice them. And like that was the case there, and it just, those guys playing in their home rink at home, that just, that's a huge motivator for them. So it was just enjoyable, highly enjoyable hockey to watch.
Well, the city was absolutely buzzing. I will tip the cap to everyone here. It was great, from the volunteers to every single person that was there. And I did a little bit of the prediction season videos for the Mooseheads, and that was pretty awesome. I got to get in touch with the Herdcast from out here, which is a podcast I knew nothing about going into the tournament, but now I do know that, and I've interacted with the guys. And Doug, you've seen it on Twitter. I did that little fun song to Little Nas X's Old Town Road, and I even got a little bit of kudos from Colby Armstrong. So that was pretty awesome to see that happen. So the tournament as a whole for me, the hockey was amazing, the interaction was amazing. I mean, we even had, likes and retweets from Kia Canada, which is so cool. So the whole thing was just awesome. And having Kyle on tonight, it just ties everything together for junior hockey. But to go back to the main focal point of this episode, which is you, my friend, you are one of the busiest guys. And seriously, you look at what you've done in the past year, beginning, we talked about the Leafs last time, but you've done everything from the Kilty Bs. You've gone now, you're doing, with the OHL, is it the OHL Unfiltered?
Yeah, that's the new podcast, yeah.
And you're working, doing stuff about the Kitchener Rangers and the day-to-day. How did everything, come about with the OHL crew and then the Kitchener Rangers? How did that first come about for you?
Well, it all stemmed from the Junior Hockey Talk podcast that I started, and got in contact with you guys, and that's how I met you guys. But it was definitely through that the creators of the Dub Network, Paul Figler and Jesse Phillips, they wanted to branch out and start a media source for the OHL, because not many people were really covering it credibly. So he wanted to get his foot in the door there, and he wanted to bring over the podcast, which they already have on the Dub Network, which is called Dub Unfiltered, WHL Unfiltered. So he reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested, at which time I told him, yeah, I'd be definitely interested. He said he'd get back to me. I didn't hear from him for a few months, so I didn't really think anything was going to come about it, so I just went on my way, just working away, and I was getting in gear for hockey season, and figuring out what I was going to do, if I was going to stick with the Kilty Bees or move on and try and find a different place to grow. And they evidently did get back to me and brought me on board as the host and producer for OHL Unfiltered, which is powered by OHLnetwork.ca. And here we are. We're launched, and it's growing and doing great, keeping me really busy. And then at which point they asked me if I wanted to do beat reporting for the Kitchener Rangers. So I got in touch with the Kitchener Rangers. I've been blessed to have talked to Rangers GM Mike McKenzie and their media people, Jess Carroll. And we've got a good relationship growing, and I look forward to the hockey season coming up.
That is awesome news. And I know, Doug, you got a little tie-in for the Kitchener Rangers home rink.
Well, I've been standing on the home rink when the ice was out, but I wasn't there.
Nice.
I was there for fighting robots.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, they do there's a maker fair that's held out of the arena every year, and June of last year I was there with botbrawl.ca fighting combat robots in a bulletproof arena inside of a hockey arena. So that's my tie into the Kitchener Rangers. It's not quite as close as yours, but I like to think that it's got its own kind of flair. So
it definitely does in my eyes. That's for sure. It's definitely cool.
Well, the next step for you, obviously already a busy man with everything we just discussed, then the Collingwood Colts come calling, and now you have the buzz going around that team, and now you are the social media guy for the Collingwood Colts. Now, how did that happen? And also, what can we expect from you in that role with the Colts?
Well, that was an ordeal and a half that Jamie. So you might remember going back to the bid process, and Doug, you might remember when the bids were all going through. There was a Junior B bid that was proposed for Collingwood as well. Which point Dave Steele reached out to me. He also heard of me through my podcast growing and the following I had on Twitter and whatnot. So he reached out and wanted some articles done just to promote himself and what they're about and what they were looking to do with the team if they got granted approval. At which point we had some success. So he did offer me a job way back when. This was probably Christmas time. He was offering me a job there. He said if it came to fruition, he would definitely reach out to me. So he definitely, obviously, Collingwood got approved. So he stuck to his word, and I'm blessed. He reached out to me. He offered me a contract for the year. So I'm blessed to say I've signed a contract in the beginning of March. We're getting ramped up for hockey season here. I am the head of social media, PR, and website management. So all the tweeting and social media stuff you see, that's all me. The website design and keeping the players looking good while they're out in public, that's my ordeal, and I'm really excited to get going here in Collingwood.
That is awesome, man. Holy smokes. Doug, what do you got to say about that? That's awesome, eh?
That's I don't want to be working full time in hockey, and I know that you're enjoying every second of that. I mean, I would for sure. I kind of want to tie this in to you're talking about social media, and you're handling social media for the Colts. So I want to know your thoughts, and James is gonna ask this, but I'm asking this. I want to know your thoughts on the Milton Menace and their social media brigade.
So I was definitely caught off guard when Newmarket announced that they had folded and sold the team to Milton, and Milton came on board, and their Twitter account just kind of took Twitter by storm, just getting their nose and everything. I mean, it's definitely fun. I mean, people like it. I mean, it's not the most professional way to go about Twitter, but I mean, it's fun, and people like it, and people like to interact with it. So, I mean, it's been nothing but good fun between both of us. We'll see how it goes once hockey season actually starts to ramp up and the real fun begins. But I must say they've gotten some pretty good following thanks to Jeff Merritt giving them a shout out and stuff like that. So they've been doing all right. I don't mind them too bad. I like checking out their tweets every once in a while. They got some good stuff on there. So I definitely look forward to having some tweeting wars as we go through the hockey season down the road here.
No, definitely.
For
Well,
sure.
you look at the Milton Medicine, the way they've come in with a buzz, and not to say that the Collingwood Colts haven't done it, but for whatever reason, it seems like their main thing is just drilling everyone on social media, whether it's going after NHL teams, NBA teams, whoever it is, and like you said, Jeff Merrick, 31 Thoughts, all those different things, you know, and what they seem to be pushing a lot of, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seems to be their merchandise. It seems to be their, you know, their jerseys, their gear, you know, everything that they're suiting up in, you know, and I'm wondering if they're really selling the sizzle or if they're getting the whole steak ready. And for me right now, I'm seeing the sizzle. I'm liking what I'm smelling off the barbecue, but what is the steak going to be like? And I'm wondering what you think about that, Kyle. You see everything with the merchandise, and don't get me wrong, their jerseys are beautiful, so are Collingwood's. It's all great to see all this stuff, but the on-ice product is, and at the end of the day, is what's going to matter and make these teams viable for years to come in the markets they're in. So where do you think it is with Milton, and where do you think it is with Collingwood?
I couldn't agree more. I mean, they definitely got themselves acclimated on Twitter, and they've taken it over by storm in that sense. But like you said, the ultimate product comes on the ice and what happens on the ice, and they've definitely been on the merch sale and promoting themselves in that sense. To our account, we haven't released any merch other than some hats that we released for some from one of our supporters in Collingwood, but we're holding off on the merch right now. We still have jerseys to release and equipment to release to the public yet, but we gave our founding members a sneak peek this past weekend of what to expect. The jerseys are going to look great. As a fan standpoint, don't get me wrong. I like the look of the Menace jerseys. Don't get me wrong. The logo's cool. It's a different logo than what we're used to seeing in hockey. But at the same time, I'm a more traditional, type of guy in hockey. I do like the, stick to your own thing. I don't want to be all and everybody and being the over loud person. We'll do our talking on the ice and the overall product, and that's what we look to do in Collingwood. Like our president said, Dave Steele said it flat out on the radio when him and GM Dermot Anderson were on the radio. We want to be like Vegas. We want to come out. We want to be a lethal team every night. We want to have one of the hardest barns to come and play in, and we plan on packing it out and making it one tough place to play hockey every Friday night. And we hope that Collingwood's like the Vegas team, and we can make a deep run, and we're competitive from day one. That's what we plan on doing. So, well, like I said, we'll let our talking be on the ice when we're winning hockey games, and we'll see how the Twitter war goes then.
Now, my only question is going in with, obviously the social media. It is a big thing for every league now, and we know the OJHL, attendance-wise, we always want to see it growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. What do you think this will do? Do you think it will drive attendance or not?
Well, like you said, I mean, attendance has always been an issue for many markets in junior hockey. I mean, you get the odd market that the smaller markets, they really pack it in and they get a pretty good following, and that's what we hope to have in Collingwood. But social media is such a big part of the game nowadays. I mean, everybody's on social media, from your grandmother to kids way before we even knew what technology was, you know what I mean? So people are on it. They want to know what's going on all the time with their team, wherever they are, whatever's going on. So it's really become a focal part of running a hockey team and branding your hockey team for people to notice. So it's really, I mean, it's only growing. I mean, we're only 10 years into it, and it's already this far. So you can imagine what it's gonna do for teams down the road, and really teams are really just starting to catch on to what it can do for them as of right now. I mean, social media. You hope to drive all those followers you have on social media into the rink, and that's the goal every week, is to have as many followers come out to the rink, and we hope to make it a pretty good fan atmosphere for all the fans that are coming out to the Eddie Bush Memorial Arena in Collingwood.
In regards to Milton, personally, I think it's good what they're doing on social media. For now, it draws eyes and attention to the OJHL.
Yep.
For me, the potential bad is if all those marketing efforts fall completely flat on their face, and they fail to draw fans or put an interesting roster on the ice. And I don't mean like good. Like, they don't even need to be the best team. It's your first team in the league. You don't need to do good, but it has to be made up of, if it's not going to be an excellent hockey team, it's going to have to be made up of Milton area players. And that would go a long way towards that relationship with the community and the minor teams in the area that you need at this level. I hope they put effort into building the in-arena atmosphere, just like you said the Colts are doing. That does so much to draw and retain fans. If it doesn't match the attitude of their social media posts and their uniform, it's 100% going to feel lacking and out of place. Fans who haven't been to an OJHL game but see the uniform are going to be drawn into the first few games, and it's going to have to be super tight and professional in order to keep those fans coming back. It can't be seen as an extension of other minor hockey teams that might play in the area or be feeder teams for Milton. It needs to be seen as a complete step up, like as close to the OHL game day production quality as possible, without being like over the top. I mean, yeah.
No, I couldn't agree more, Doug, and that's exactly how it's got to start being around junior hockey for people to really gain that interest and you see you can pack 1,000, 1,500 people into a game, but where are they during the regular season? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where we are at with the Collingwood Colts and branding our team and Dave Steele and the ownership group. They're really about revamping what it means to be an Ontario Junior Hockey League team. I mean, there's no reason why teams are being sold for $1 million or roughly in that area, why you should have teams that aren't being successful. And I mean, this is big business now, and if you want to start bringing in TV and having national eyes on you all the time, well, then you have to have a product on the ice. You need to have a product that fans are willing to embrace and really pick up and support. So that's definitely been our focal point as a media team and a marketing team. We're definitely really putting it into the game day experience and being able to offer fans and all that we can. I mean, we have the Founders Club, which is a 200 member club. They get their own private lounge that they can have their own concession. It's going to have lazy boys, all the TVs, everything you want. They'll be able to watch the game from there. Their own secluded area, and then we got, we're gonna have little kiosks for drinks being served during the games. We're gonna be fully liquor licensed. I mean, we're doing it like the Barrie Colts in the OHL would, and that's what we really want to portray out there. And hopefully, other teams will start to follow. I mean, Dave Steele's gone above and beyond getting this team ready. He's got us a practice rink. The boys got their own practice rink. They've got their own game day rink. I mean, it's really above and beyond what he's doing with the team, and I hope other teams follow it because, I mean, junior hockey, junior A hockey especially, is great hockey to watch. I mean, if you think it's a drop-off from OHL, you're sadly mistaken. I mean, these kids are right there. It's a great brand of hockey. It's only getting better. These kids are just getting more talented, so there's no reason why we shouldn't have a nice atmosphere for them to showcase their talent, and I hope that's what continues.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the hardest things for these teams to do is differentiate from the minor hockey teams that play in the same rink and on the same ice or have the same logo. And I'm not going to throw my own team under the bus, although I kind of am, but I've had people come up and ask me what level the junior Canadians were playing, like in the middle of an OJHL game when between periods, and then they're stunned when I'm telling them that it's junior A, there's multiple NHL draft picks on the ice, and people just don't know, and you can't tell just by looking sometimes. Like, my personal opinion is that the Junior A brand, like the name Junior A, I think it needs to be like relabeled, because you say Junior A, and a lot of people still think of the OHL or assume that like a Junior A club would be this big showy production, kind of like what it sounds like you guys are doing with the Colts, which I think is the right direction. Like, I do my best doing what I do, but lighting effects, a proper scoreboard with a screen on it. I mean, that makes a huge difference. That's a big part of the reason why I put train horns in all of my teams, because I want to make it clear that this is a serious hockey team, and also so that anyone else in those facilities, they're going to hear the horn going off and wonder, what the hell was that? And like with Westwood and Scotiabank Pond, when you have 4 other ice surfaces in the same facility as you, that could be what draws in minor hockey teams to come and watch, is hearing that go off, and then they go, what was that? And then look over and see, wow, there's these big old 18, 19, 17, 20-year-old kids that are just flying up and down the ice. But like you're doing with the Colts, I'm trying to constantly improve what I do. I'm looking into lighting effects and programming to try and make my teams pop more visually at the beginning of their games. But I have to think that with more advertising, the teams would draw more fans. Whether or not there's cheap or effective enough advertising to achieve that in the Greater Toronto area is a different question. I feel like the Colts are better positioned for that just because they're further away from the city. But I mean, there's multiple OJHL graduates on the Toronto Maple Leafs, and yet people around Toronto still don't seem to know about the OJHL or show any kind of interest in the league. I'm at a loss at this point.
Well, here's the thing, guys. I'm gonna jump in as kind of an impartial party to the whole, being around the scene of the OJHL. I came from obviously Nova Scotia. Came into town to come see the Markham Royals, do the puck drop and everything that we did in September, Doug. And like I told you when I got there, until I got to the rink, I didn't see anything about the Markham Royals. I didn't see anything about the OJHL. It's not there. And if you're not in people's ears, eyes, or, everywhere, if you're not there all the time, you get forgotten. You get cast to the wayside. What it sounds like you guys are doing in Collingwood and what it looks like the Milton Menace are doing right now, both teams coming into the league, you're trying to build that fan interest and experience and also stay omnipresent in everybody's view. Keep yourselves visual on Instagram, on Twitter. You guys are doing radio hits. You guys are, you've seen Collingwood Colts guys, because obviously Dark Guy is affiliated with the team as a head scout, but he does have the TSN show, so obviously mainstream media right there for the OJHL. But like I said, when I came to town, until I got to the Markham Centennial, Doug, I didn't see anything leading up to the OJHL. And you need that. You need to be in people's eyes. You need to be in their ears. You need to always have a visual showing. We know about the NHL. Obviously, it's the biggest league for hockey there is in North America. But when you start looking at junior hockey, I look at the Mooseheads here. You can go outside of the Halifax limits, and you still will see things for the Halifax Mooseheads. You still know about that team. I know that you have the Toronto Marlies, you have the the ECHL there, you have the Maple Leafs, but they need to do a better job in the city of advertising, because it is great hockey. There are NHL draft picks there. It is exciting. Like you said, you do the train horns, you do the game day production right. But if nobody's watching, there's no way to generate more revenue to get better things. Or if you don't have an owner that's kind of not interested in doing that because he doesn't know who's going to come to the game, it just kind of sucks the life out of it. And I said that to you from the beginning. It was awesome to come see the Markham Royals. I loved the hockey against Aurora. Great game, physical, fast, everything you wanted of a hockey game. Couldn't understand why people are not there. But if there's no advertising and you're not in people's eyes, it's not going to work. And that's where I think right now, like I was talking about with the sizzle for the Milton Menace and the Collingwood Colts, they are in people's ears, in people's eyes, just there. And if they can keep doing that, hopefully they draw. And like Kyle just said, hopefully it makes other teams do it. And Doug, you said the same thing. Hopefully everyone starts to follow suit. And this becomes the new norm for the OJHL. And hopefully it takes it to that next level where it can be almost on par with the OHL, game day production-wise, fan-wise, building a following. You know what I mean? But without that, like I said, when I came to town, I couldn't tell you where the Markham game was. I couldn't tell you there was an OJHL game going on.
Yeah, and it's like that in so many different cities and markets. I mean, the Markham's not even one of, how many, what is there, 22 teams in the OJ?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I mean, you could probably say 15 out of those teams probably all have the same fate as Markham. You know what I mean? It's a very, very secluded market of teams that get the continuous drawing, and I mean, it's harder for I can imagine GTA teams probably have a harder trying to advertise and find advertising, because I mean, everybody else wants to sink their advertising into other sports teams in the bigger markets, right? So they're definitely at a disadvantage there. One thing I can say, and it's been amazing from my point of view in Collingwood. I mean, since day one when we launched our site and our social media sites, the support's been crazy. I mean, the town of Collingwood and the surrounding area, I mean, these people have really came together. I I mean, for them, they've been without junior hockey for many years. It has been about 8 years since they've had junior B hockey there. So they're really chomping at the bit to get hockey back. So they're definitely out full force. People advertising, people want to put our posters up on their walls and everything like that. So again, like you said, James, getting that image of people that are just driving through the city and just getting your brand out there for people to see and people to ask questions about is really what it's all about. And teams like you said, hopefully we can get teams to start following suit. And we need more guys like Doug who take pride in their craft and want to put a good product out there and want to entertain fans and stuff like that. That's what I'm about. I want to keep people interested. I want to keep people coming back. And it's going to take more people like Doug and that to get that going. But if we stay at it, hopefully we can get junior hockey going in the right direction. And going back to that branding thing that Doug said, I believe that junior A title's got to go. I do believe the same thing. You got OHL hockey, which you call major junior. So you know what I mean. You could call it junior or just leave it as tier 2 junior. But that minor junior A, minor junior, whatever. It's that junior A. People take that A and they automatically translate it to something more than what it is. But I mean, these kids put out a great display of talent every night. I mean, it doesn't matter which team you're watching. You're going to find some talented kids that are playing some talented hockey. And if you're not watching, you're missing it out. So, but I know in Collingwood personally, we're really focused on making sure our product's out there on TV. I know we're trying to work out some things with Rogers and stuff like that to make sure our games are getting broadcasted in a wider area. So we're really looking forward to putting out a great product, and hopefully we're one of the top teams in the league come the end of the 2020 season here.
And hey, if you ever want to go, Lauren, you know who to call.
That's it.
But that's just the thing, right? I look at you guys, and Kyle, I've said this of you, and Doug, I always say you're one of the hardest working guys in the OJHL. You need people that are enthusiastic and want to take things to the next level and, like you just mentioned, Kyle, take pride in the craft that you're doing, but also have a give a shit meter to make sure that things go right and make sure that people want to see what's on the ice and make sure the in-game experience is awesome. And hearing what you're doing in Collingwood, I hope it translates and goes further with other teams because that is what's needed. And to me, that's what was lacking when I got there. And not to say that I didn't enjoy myself. I enjoyed every ounce of the moments I got when I got to be a part of the Markham Royals for podcast-wise. And then when I got there in person, got to meet the game day crew, Doug, yourself, Reno, Jody, everyone. It was wicked. But it needs to be up to that level where you guys are talking about in Collingwood, and hopefully that catches on like wildfire, because this league can be so much more than it is. And you guys are right, the junior A title's got to go, because as soon as you mention that, people affiliate or think it's something different. So definitely.
Yep. Well, we're on the way. I mean, like they said, we got CH, and CH is starting to put the games out, so hopefully that contract grows, and hopefully we keep growing the brand.
That's just it. Well, speaking of keeping eyes on the ice, we'll shift gears here to the NHL, and I want to know what you guys think of this one. It seems that, obviously, we know we have video review. So that is something that is omnipresent within the NHL right now. Pandora's box is slightly open, but now they're looking to expand video review. So I want to ask you both, before I get into my thoughts of this, what do you think about expansion on the video review? Should we, A, keep it the way it is, or B, expand it?
God. Yeah. Well, I'll go for. I got a pretty generic version. I'm still stuck on leave it pretty much how it is. I mean, you start pulling in more views and more aspects and more things that you can challenge in video review. And I mean, this game's just going to get out of hand to where it's at in football nowadays. It's just. It's getting to be a little much to, you know what I mean? If that's the point, then why do we have referees on the ice? You know what I mean? Like, I get these guys are human. They're going to make bad calls. It's going to happen in any game, no matter where you are. But that's part of the game. Playing through those things, being able to battle through those things. Don't get me wrong, the offside things, the goals, you need the reviews on those because it's hard to see with the size of the players and how quick it's going. But I mean, for adding more, I think it's just going to take away from the game, and I'd really hate to see that. So I'd hope they keep it pretty much how they have it now.
I mean, I've opined on this subject before. I think that you're going to see completely digital linesmen, at least, maybe not referees, but linesmen, where you don't, maybe the an entire defensive zone or the blue line on either side turns green if it's onside, and it turns red if it's offside, and there's like digital sensors in the puck and underneath the ice that detect whether there's skates and all. I have a feeling that like that's where this is going, and I don't think you can add more review to the game until you're willing to digitize certain aspects of what the calls on the ice are. And I don't think we're quite there with technology, the capability of technology to get there yet. That's definitely the way it goes. You know, you're playing NHL 18, 19. You're not questioning whether the game got an offside call right.
Yeah.
Well,
that's where we got to go with it.
Here's my bit on it, guys. So I believe you've already opened Pandora's box when you started the challenge offsides. You gave the coaches the ability, and we know Mike Babcock has abused this a few times, of being able to challenge plays until you get it wrong. My thought process on it, if you want to do it, open it up completely. You want to be able to challenge things, that's fine. But here's what it is. You get a limited number per game. And the number I came up with was 2. If you get it wrong, you get a penalty. Same thing as it is now. You get it wrong, you get a penalty. Saying you only get 2 a game, so you have 2 things you can use, and that is it. That is all you can review. Obviously, everything else is handled by upstairs in the last minute of the game, or last 2 minutes, or whatever they call it is. Whatever the NHL takes over, and it's their time to look at it. But you get 2 a game, and that's it. Because if you look at it right now, the way that it's set up, if you continually challenge and continually get it right, you can keep challenging the entire game until you get it wrong. So it slows it down and adds more reviews. If you put a number on it, attached to a penalty if you get it wrong, I think you'll see less coaches taking the chance of the review, and you'll still have the ability to challenge like the hand pass we just saw and call it back. Or even in the Marlies game where the puck hit the mesh but nobody blew the whistle, you have that ability to call one of those. But that's it. 2 a game, you open Pandora's box, everything's up for review, but you get 2 chances a game. That's it. Whether you get it right or wrong, you only get 2, and that's it. And I think that's the way it should go. Much like the NFL model, you want to challenge, cool, you challenge, that's it.
I'd add one caveat to that, which is that there shouldn't be any tablets on the benches. Like if you're gonna say that the ref is wrong and the ref's only allowed to use his eyeballs to figure it out if the calls are right or not, then the coaches and the players should be subject to the same thing. They shouldn't show the replay they shouldn't show any replays on the overhead board while the game's going on, and the players shouldn't have tablets on the bench to look at a play 5 times before they decide whether or not to challenge it.
Well, the only thing is, Doug, the only problem to that notion is they have guys upstairs on headsets that instantly talk down to the bench and say, "Hey, challenge that."
That's more of what should be banned. That shouldn't be a thing that exists. The only if they really want to make sure they still have the concussion protocol going or whatever, you have someone that waits in the hallway that has a headset upstairs and say, okay, we got to bring that guy in for concussion protocol. But other than that, there should be no communication between the bench and the outside world while the game's going on. I think between periods that's fine, in the dressing room, whatever. But on the bench, there shouldn't be any electronics of any kind. That's my personal opinion. I just feel like that degrades the professionalism of the hockey to constantly watch coaches question officials. That's just making the officials' job harder in more ways than one. Not just because they have the weight of that behind them, but just because that makes people think that the officials are people to be questioned. I mean, you look at what happened to the umpires in the major leagues. Like, nobody takes for granted any call anymore that the umpires, if there's anything close to a play, the players don't even come off the field anymore. I mean, the first year it was implemented, guys would run off the field like it was nothing. Oh yeah, there's a review on that, and go and stand awkwardly in the dugout. That still happens occasionally, but more often than not, you see them just waiting out there for the call to be confirmed. To me, that's disrespecting the officials of the game. They have a hard enough job as it is, so I don't know.
What do you think, Kyle?
No, I can't see it getting any better the more you start adding into the game and adding into video reviews. And I can agree, taking the tablets off the benches, but I mean with data tracking and everything else they're going to be having, that's not going to be happening. So, I mean, you're kind of, I don't mind having the coaches being able to look at the video review on the tablet on the bench. I mean, I get where Doug's coming from, whereas, I mean, if the ref's got to call it on a plain sight, then you should have to be able to, you should be able to have video to make your decision a little easier for you. But at the same time, I mean, it's just the natural way the game's going. It's the speed of the game. I mean, even me, I have a hard time catching up to the players and knowing what's going on. So if it wasn't for the quick replay, I wouldn't even know what's happening, So at the same time, I mean, I sit here and you can have the pros and cons for both sides. I mean, it's technology now. It's so hard not for people not to want to add more and use more technology in the game. So it'll be interesting to see where it really does go, though. I mean, it'll be really with the data tracking coming in and the betting being a real big focal point for hockey going forward. It'll be really interesting to see how they do go about calling penalties and reviewing penalties and how many video reviews are allowed. So because they're gonna want more clear points, clear scores, and not so many I guess toss-up calls and whatever that are dictating a game. So it'll be really interesting to see how that goes going forward, and I'll definitely be keeping an eye on that.
Well, something that also is going to be very interesting going forward, guys, is what is going to play out with one Mitchell Marner and the Toronto Maple Leafs. It has been said now by his agent that they are going to go past the July 1st window. I think this is just Mitch Marner's hired mouthpiece saying things to spook the Maple Leafs. The thing that kind of pisses me off, though, is this guy is now getting his agent to say, oh, I'm going to go window shopping. We're going to sit down with some other teams. We're going to take meetings, etc., etc. You know what? Do what you're going to do, but shut your mouth. Don't negotiate through the media. It never freaking works. It never works. You look at any time that a player has tried to negotiate through the media, whether it be through his agent or otherwise, it does not work. And this may be his agent trying to become the next big player in hockey as an agent, to grow his profile and who he is and what he does. Maybe land better clients or more high-profile clients. I don't know. But this just reeks of, we're going to ask for the sun, the moon, the stars, and when we get under $10 million, we're going to look like the goddamn frickin' heroes of the game because we came in underneath this and now we got this coming at us. For me, if Mitch Marner really wants to handcuff the Maple Leafs in their free agent decisions, their decisions at the draft, what trades or things they may pull off because they don't know his number, I say, Mitch Marner, it was great to have you as a Maple Leaf. Put your gear in a bag. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, because you should not be able to handcuff the team that you say you love playing for, that your agent in February said you're going to be a part of for a long time to come. You want to be a part of this team, but yet you want to handicap them in two of the biggest situations of the year, the draft and free agency. You want to limit what they can do. If you want to do that and you're serious about it, like I said, put your gear in a bag, leave your Maple Leaf jersey in the stall, and hit the bricks, kid, because I don't want you here. And I think a lot of Leafs Nation will feel the exact same way, because I think it's ridiculous that you handcuff a team like that. You shouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely tough, especially when you fell so in love with him over the last couple of years and just everything that he's done. And you just look at him and he just seems like one of those players. When you watch him, that he's going to be there forever, that he doesn't want to go anywhere else and play hockey. And then, like you said, you hear his agent, his hired mouthpiece, talking and doing all the talk. For him going shopping, though, I mean, I can't really get mad at him. I mean, that's just a smart business decision. I mean, you got to see what's out there for yourself. You got to see what the market holds for you. Even with full intent of knowing he might not go anywhere, you still got to look and see what's out there. I mean, that's just doing your due diligence. I mean, as far as saying that you're going to go past the July 1st deadline, that's kind of hard for the Leafs to swallow, and I'm sure Dubas and company won't be just sitting back and allowing that to happen. But that part I didn't like too much. But I mean, as far as him saying he's going to go window shopping, let him go window shopping. I mean, at the end of the day, he's got to see what's out there for himself. I truly hope we get him back. I love Mitch Marner. I love watching him play. I know most of his talking likely his agent just trying to blow up his margins and get
it's posturing. It's just pure posturing.
And that's and he was doing it back earlier in the season, and it's nothing new. And that's what they pay him the commission for, and that's fine. And let him do what he's got to do. In all honesty, I see Mitch coming back. The only key for me is can we get him at 10.5 or under? Really, I mean,
I think he signs for, and I agree with Steve Dangle. I think he signs for 9.5.
9.5 would be a great deal. I think we're paying him 10 at least, though. So,
Dougie, what do you got to say on the Mitchell Marner front?
I'd offer him 8, and if he doesn't take it, I'd let him walk.
There you go, Doug. Doug's fooling around with Doug.
He's okay. So I can't remember the name of the guy that just got $9 million a year. All I know is that he has more points than Mitch Marner has, and he's bigger. And Mitch Marner is neither one of those things. And I'm a guy that's been saying all season that I think 2 or 3 years from now, Mitch Marner may just be the best player in the league in a couple of years. I still think that. But man, I'm so sick and tired of highly skilled, overpaid players underperforming in Toronto Maple Leafs uniforms. The one nice thing about Marner is that he performs close to how you're expecting, maybe a bit better than how you're expecting him to perform. That's nice. But honestly, I'm at a point where the funnest season of Toronto Maple Leafs hockey for me was the first year after we got Matthews. And I'm at a point where I would rather see and watch a bunch of bums work their asses off, especially bums that are born in the city of Toronto or in the greater Toronto area, and watch them lose than spend another year being frustrated at weak efforts from players. That's where I am at as a fan. To me, that's much more exciting to see guys that grew up in the same city as me working their hearts out to try and get a win. To me, that's more exciting and more entertaining than watching certain players that I'm not going to name specifically take shifts off over and over and over again. It's just like that kills me. There are so many kids that were born in the city of Toronto that would kill to be working their hearts out, even if they aren't anywhere near as skilled as some of the guys. I would rather see that. That's not the point where I'm at. Winning isn't everything in hockey. It's this season was so non-entertaining compared to 2 years ago. Like, to me, that's almost, if you're looking at it from a business perspective, it's more important that you have eyes on the team and people enjoying the team and wanting to come back than people being disappointed and frustrated with your players and being absolutely toxic online. And this was 100% the worst year for that. I mean, people were called for almost every guy on the team to be traded at some point. It's ridiculous.
No, there's some points there I can't agree with, and there's a lot of points there that I can agree with, and we've been over those before. What do you think of that, there, Mr. Kyle?
I mean, like I can get it from both sides, and I can get it from all sides. At the same time, I just don't see Toronto letting him walk. With all the posturing and all the stuff, at the end of the day, he's a talented hockey player, and he's only going to grow. I remember seeing that stat that you were saying there, Doug, that the other guy had more points and he was bigger. But, for what Mitch brings to a game and what he offers to an entire team, it's hard not to want to see him stay. At the end of the day, you have to have that limit, though, right? And you can't just let him continue to, push the envelope and dictate what's going to go on. At the end of the day, we have to think about an entire team. And as a fan standpoint, watching them, first round exit, and like Doug said, 2 years ago was awesome. Austin Matthews, the 4-goal game, his first game in the NHL. You're like, oh, this is just going to be a wild season. And watching him just bust through the season and watch the younger guy, Martin, all those guys start to grow and mesh together was so fun. And then the expectations rose, and we all expected to be in the playoffs, and we expected to have a dominant team. And John Tavares shows up, and we all thought we were a powerhouse team, and to go out early in the first round. At some point you have to sit back and go, is this the team that's going to get you there, or does that piece going mean a bigger piece coming in and more? You look to the Raptors, how long did we have DeMar DeRozan? And I remember the day DeMar DeRozan was traded, I'm sitting here going, what the hell just happened? What did we do? That's our team right there. That guy is the guy we build around for the next 10 years. What are you doing? And then Kawhi Leonard, now you're sitting here going, well, God, I'm glad Masai Ujiri did what he did, and I'm glad Kawhi Leonard came over, because look how much it changed the team, and look at the different look of a team just by one player. And I mean, hockey is hard to do with just one player if it's not just a hot goaltender, you know what I mean? But at the same time, how long do you keep that band together and just hope that they work before you start to venture out and look for different pieces? And I mean, if Mitch Marner, I mean, I'm probably not going to be the happiest, or the nicest guy in everybody's books right now, but I mean, at the end of the day, Mitch is going to cause a rift, and it's going to be a big fiasco. I mean, if you're Kyle Dubas, you got to start looking at your options and seeing what you can get. And I mean, at the end of the day, if it comes to that point, I guess as long as you get the return, I mean, you can't really complain. So.
That's the truth. That is 100% the truth.
I mean, look at how Nylander and that whole situation poisoned this year. It really did.
Yeah, and then you see him show up in the World Championships and see what he did there. And, you know what I mean? And he did it against, top-notch talent every night. So it's not like it was, and that's where you go back and you think, if he had the full season, what would it have been like if he had that full season, that full training camp, the preseason to really get in with the team and get going? How different he could have made it for the Leafs, and having an extra 30 points on his total, and what that would have did, and the overall chemistry, and not having to move him around in the lineup throughout the playoffs. It was all just from the get-go. It was just a really bad start, and I mean, the talent we had, it masked it, and we were able to win games and still get there. But at the end of the day, it really showed up in the playoffs, and you got to have a whole effort from start to finish, and I mean, the Leafs really got to start figuring that out if they want to be that serious contender.
Well, hopefully next season we get it.
I'm sorry, James. You can't see it, but I just nodded so hard at Kyle that my headphones fell off.
Well, hopefully next season we get a better effort. I mean, this season should have been celebrated. The signing of hometown boy John Tavares, and I feel like it kind of went down the tubes. You touched on it. You had the Nylander fiasco, and then it became the Matthews fiasco. Then that passed. Then you had the lovely Mitch Marner start to be a problem, not because of him, but just because of his contract was the next one up on the books. And then it became, what do we do with Zaitsev? What do we do with Marlowe? It was never a season of celebration, which it should have been for us getting John Tavares. It was a season of fear, what ifs. Are we going to lose him? Is he going to play? What's he going to get paid? Can we fit them all? It became basically a nightmare season. So hopefully next year we ratchet it down. But Kyle, Doug has a brand new little segment he wants to debut, and he wants to do it tonight. So I'm going to let Doug take the reins. I'm going to sit back, and we're going to listen to this. And Doug, go ahead and explain what's going to happen here.
Well, it's time for Weekly Leafs Tweets. So this is our all-new segment where all we do is go over some of the crappiest tweets put forth by Leafs Nation, and we're going to see if we can pull something interesting to talk about out of all of madness. The segment may, in fact, be the mental undoing of myself and James, and maybe even you, Kyle, but we're going to do it anyways. This is what we do for you people in your entertainment, all right? Now, this segment is not for shaming people or creating a public spectacle, so I'm not going to name any of the names of the people who tweeted just raw tweets, raw madness. Let's get it started. First tweet is, quote, "If you don't want the Leafs to trade for Tom Wilson, you are one of three. 1, someone who thinks the Nylander contract is a steal. 2, someone who screenshots someone's Twitter and doesn't tag them. 3, someone who thinks Marner shouldn't get $10 million a year." Oh, my God.
You know what, though? I want the Leafs to trade for Tom Wilson. He's one of those players where you hate him on the Washington Capitals, but you love him on your team. Same with Brad Marchand.
We'll trade Kadri for Wilson.
Let's do it. 1 for 1. Idiot for idiot.
There you go.
All right, we're going to keep this rolling. Number 2, quote, "The Leafs should trade Marner. Great player, but it seems like too much of a headache," which just ties in perfectly what we were just talking about. What do you guys think? Should the Leafs trade Marner?
Well, listen, the whole headache aspect becomes around the contract. If you take the contract situation out of everything and just put it aside and look at Mitch Marner, the player, what he does in the community, how much fun he has, how energetic he is, how he is with the fans, he is not a headache. He does not seem to be a headache within the team, other than the contract situation to myself. And also, you cannot handcuff a guy to his father. What his father says, does, and acts like, same with his agent, as we said, as a mouthpiece, is not Mitch Marner. That's not who is talking. It's his dad who is talking to the media. It is his agent who is doing so. So if you're talking about Mitch Marner himself as a player, other than the contract situation that is ongoing right now, I don't see him as a headache. The only reason why you would trade Mitch Marner is what we already alluded to, is the fact you cannot get him to a dollar figure you want, or if you're leaning towards the fact that Mitch Marner may not want to be a part of your hockey club, then you explore your options. What do you think, Kyle?
No, I couldn't agree more. And I mean, I go back to my point. You know, you don't want to trade him, but I mean, if it comes to this point where it's like Nylander situation again, where we're getting to the beginning of the season and it's still not going. I mean, at some point you have to find your options and go that route if that's the way it's going. You cannot have another toxic situation happen like happened last year. It's just not good. For me, as a fan, as a diehard Leaf fan, I swear I hope we don't have to trade him. I mean, I hope we get him at a good dollar amount. Yeah. I hope he stays. I mean, for the overall gelling of the team, I mean, Matthews, all those guys, they love him. They want him there. So, I mean, for him to leave would really be a heartbreaker. But, I mean, I wouldn't want him to go on any other way than, getting him at the right deal on a trade. So, if it comes to that point, you got to do what you got to do.
Yep, I 100% agree. These are just going to get crazier as we go along, so buckle in. So the next tweet is, quote, "So I think the Leafs have some work to do because of this year's missed opportunity. Kadri, Nylander, Gardner, Marner, Sparks, Brown, or Hyman are all possibly on the move. I'm not saying I want to see these players moved. I just feel these are the names on the trade board." That's like half the team. That's half the team.
Well, I mean, we already know that Gardner's moving, and we know they want to move Zaitsev, but yeah, it's like half the damn team. Like, okay, well, these three players aren't moving. So everybody else is on the block, though, boys.
It sounds like a fantasy GM that wants to redo his whole team.
Yeah, there it is right there. That's somebody who's playing, who's in a Fantrax league and is unhappy with his squad. That's what it is right there.
I'm treating everybody.
Let's just blow it up for the fun of it.
Right.
Salary caps don't exist.
Okay. Two left. We got two left. We got, quote, "Sheldon Keefe contract renewal for 2 years. Definitely says Dubas is not pleased with Babcock. As far as I'm concerned, Keefe is waiting to take over Babcock's team. Babcock is one F up away to piecing out. Hashtag Leafs forever."
You know what?
Hashtag makes it.
Listen, I see this as being a little bit of truth. I know you guys are going to look at me like I'm jumping on the crazy wagon and I'm enjoying this. But the fact is, Doug, you know that I've already been saying this. I do believe that Sheldon Keefe is the next heir apparent to the coaching position in Toronto. I do believe that. And I do believe that there is a little bit of a rift between Dubas and Babcock. That is not hard to see. It's not huge, but they don't seem to be on the same page, is what I'm trying to say. And yeah, I think Keefe is the next coach for the Toronto Maple Leafs. As far as Babcock being one screw up away, I think he's earned himself the leash that he has, and we'll see what happens with his new assistant coaches. But listen, Dubas took his toys away, which were his buddies as his coaches, so we'll see what happens this season.
I mean, oh, you go ahead, Kyle.
No, I was just gonna say when they re-signed Sheldon Keefe there, that was the first thought that came into my head. Well, he's 2 years closer to Babcock not being here, and 2 years closer to becoming a Maple Leafs head coach. And you know, Dubas has probably got that thought in his head. I mean, he's watched Keefe come all the way up through the ranks, so I mean, he definitely has a way with the young players. And I mean, Babcock at that point of one more, I think he's got more of a leash than that. But I mean, another first-round exit, and we'll be talking a new coach. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for sure.
Here's something that's.
The person who, I'm sorry. Go ahead, James.
Here's something that's between, Sheldon Keefe and Kyle Dubas. It has been noted, and you guys have probably heard this as well. But Sheldon Keefe and Kyle Dubas, when Dubas ran the Marlies, they would actually get into huge arguments and huge shouting matches. And Dubas and Keefe both said that they liked that because they both had the passion. They both wanted to get their points across, but they weren't afraid to go at each other, to get ideas, give ideas, and actually, kind of blow up and let the steam go off at each other, because they understood that they would both come back to the table after the heated part was done with a better mindset, knowing where the other person stood. It's never a good feeling when you don't know where you stand with someone. And sometimes I feel with Babcock, with his snipey comments in the media, maybe doesn't know where he stands with Dubas. And then with Dubas and his, tweets on Twitter, the pictures and the philosophy things, putting those out there, about the hard path and the easy path, those things there. Maybe it looks the same way to him with Babcock. Don't know where you stand. So you can see it from different angles. But when you know where you stand with someone and you can go at someone, how far you can push, and you have that relationship, it makes it easier. I'm just saying, it makes it easier of a work environment. I know you find it funny, Doug, but it really does. I mean, I can go to work right now and I can blast my boss. I can absolutely give it to him, but he understands where I'm coming from because I have a point, and then you get back to doing the job right.
Well, I'm laughing because you're right, but then you put hashtag Leafs Forever at the end.
Listen, I will hashtag Leafs Forever everything. Hashtag Doug is on a roll. Hashtag Kyle's the best.
All right. So always save the best for last. This is the last one. Quote, I would take Phil Kessel and a first rounder for Zaitsev and then trade him next year for another first rounder. Hashtag Leafs Forever.
Kyle, you go first.
Oh, man, I'll trade Zaitsev for a bag of hot dogs right about now.
Well, how about Kessel and a first round pick?
Kessel, because we're going to have to get rid of him and retain more of his salary that we're already paying him. I mean, I don't think we can afford any more of Kessel. That's just, he's about to get traded again. He's about to pay him on another team. That's cool.
Here's what you do. So apparently, if you were to trade, because they broke this down on the Steve Dangle podcast, shout out the SDP, obviously, nice source for information at time. But you look at it like this: if you trade for Kessel from the Pittsburgh Penguins, because a lot of people have floated it, obviously, who knows if Toronto's on its list of no trades, but you get them to retain, and then the actual salary cap hit will be less each time that he's traded. So it would end up being, I think, if you got Pittsburgh to retain 1.4, you'd only be paying Kessel 5.7 or 5.6 actual dollars towards your cap. So, I mean, if you can get Kessel for that price and a first rounder for Zaitsev, hell yes, I'll do that every day of the goddamn week.
The fact that we're entertaining this is scary,
Hey, listen. I would love to see Mitch Marner, John Tavares, and Phil Kessel mow down some hot dogs on Yonge Street. I'm just saying. All right, you listen. He can come here, and if we win the Stanley Cup, I will personally cook him the hot dogs to eat out of it right in front of Mr. Steve Simmons. You can even make it Kessel dogs on the concourse, okay? It's no longer weenie whistles or whatever it is. It's Kessel dogs.
Kessel dogs, hashtag Leafs Forever.
There you go. No, that was a great little segment there, Doug. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was nice. It was cool.
All right, well, you know what, Carl? It is getting late on the East Coast. Some of us have to get up at the absolute earliest around here. So I want to bid you adieu. I want to thank you very much for coming on yet again. Where can everybody check you out? List the huge list of places people can find you.
Well, first off, guys, thanks for having me back on the show. Always a pleasure talking with you boys. First off, you can find me on Twitter at Kyle_Outridge. You can find my Junior Hockey Talk podcast on Twitter at JRHockeyTalk1 or www.juniorhockeytalk.com. Check out Collingwood Colts on all social medias. On Twitter, we're at Collingwood Colt. Instagram is at OJHL Colt. Facebook is Collingwood Colts. I am literally working on our Point Streak website right now. It's on my screen, so that will be up shortly. You'll be able to follow the team there. And then the OHL Network. Check us out at ohlnetwork.ca, at OHL or Network OHL on Twitter. You can check out all my writing on there. The podcast OHL Unfiltered. Plenty going on. Lots in store. Really just excited to be talking hockey and looking forward to the future. But thanks again, Offside. You boys are always a pleasure, and look forward to talking to you guys again soon.
Thank you, Kyle. That was awesome. And thanks for being part of the first ever Leafs. We all know, my God, I can't even say it. I'm still
Well, I got to be back for one more segment of those because that was definitely fun. I look forward to seeing us during the season. It could be crazy.
I'm sure you will be a regular, my friend, this season.
Hashtag Leafs forever. That's right. Just remember.
All right, guys. You have a good night.
All right, boys. Take care, man.
Good night.
All right, that was Kyle Outridge. He is the hottest ticket in junior hockey. As you heard, he is everywhere junior hockey wants to be. Be sure to check out each and every episode of Offside Hockey Talk this summer. We will have great guests just like Mr. Kyle Outridge. And be sure to check out each and every edition of Leafs Week Tweets. All right, guys, it's been a slice. We'll talk to you next week.